Hey everybody, how we doing? Welcome back to Living the Nine. Let's start the show.
It's time. It's time to live the nine. Time, live the nine.
Get a little better at this, man. It's a little bit better. Right? All right, everybody. Welcome back to Living the Nine. I am Coach Corey. We have Nat over to my left. We have Ethan below, and we have a very, very special guest today. We have Greg McLaughlin. He has the responsibility of ushering the first tee to greatness. Greg, how are we doing?
I'm doing well, Corey. How are you doing? Natalie, Ethan, good to see you guys.
Great, man. I'm very, very glad that you could spare some time with us, man. A very big day for us. So I appreciate that. Before we get into a couple questions, Nat, we have a couple things that we want to make sure our attendees know.
Yep, just a few things. Our programming, our free programming kicked off this week. We are actually wrapping up today with our final target class for the first week. We are so happy for everyone that's tuned in. If you didn't tune in this week, that is totally fine. Our classes are always going to be free and open from here on out for about the next 5 weeks, a total of 6, correct, Corey?
Mm-hmm.
So tune in. Everything is on our website, the typical tftco.org. Top right corner, you will see that TFTCO at home link. Everything that you will need is listed right there. This is Living the Nine. Again, Living the Nine, we are going to talk about our 9 core values and our 9 healthy habits. We want to show you how you incorporate those in everyday life. They matter on the golf course. They matter when you're at home. They matter when you're at school, when you're at a job. That's what we want to talk about. We want to show you how they translate over from your classes at the first tee to now your online classes and things you're doing outside of that. So that's what we are here for. We are going to have a little bit of a Q&A too here in a little bit with Greg. So if you have any questions that you want to think of ahead of time, type them in now, send them in our chat or the Q&A. Both buttons are at the bottom of your screen. Send them in. If you're listening on Facebook, you can type them right there as well, or shoot a message to the page, and I will have access to all of them, and we'll get to them when we can.
Perfect. Now, like I said before, Greg, we have some questions for you, and E's going to kick it off for us. Buddy.
All right, Greg. First of all, thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you here. So what would you say to help our participants, understand a little better? What would you say your role is with First Tee?
So my role, I'm entering now my, I guess probably 18 month of being the Chief Executive Officer of the First Tee. So we have about 50 employees at our headquarters and located in key markets around the country. In the 3 areas of leads, we have Jennifer Weiler, who oversees really the programs and our approximately 150 chapters. And she has a team of some 25 people, and their roles and responsibility are supporting you all. That's what headquarters is here for, is to take care of the field and you guys and our great chapters that we have. And then Jane Fader oversees our communications and marketing and the events that we do. We do about 12 national events, small to very large events, including, the Pure Insurance event we do at Pebble Beach, as well as the national championship golf tournament that we announced, our inaugural one, which we played at Clemson this fall. And then Guy Garbarino oversees our advancement and fundraising, working really with the field. And our jobs are effectively, to provide as much value and opportunity as we can for our chapters. Personally, I spend a good deal with the team on really all 3 areas. We've got a great lead of Jen, Jane, and Guy. I mean, combined, I think they're close to 50 years of experience with the First Tee. Jen and Guy are pushing 19 each, and Jane, I think, is 12 or 13. So it's pretty significant. And normally, non-pandemic, I'm traveling about 75% of the time, trying to, there's a lot going on at headquarters, but there's more going on in the field. So I try and get out and, see the chapters, meet the boards, the staff, and certainly the teams, on the ground and donors and supporters that we have. So it's been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed my 1.5 years so far. but for the current 5 weeks of sequestering that is currently going on right now. It's certainly unprecedented and something that I don't think any of us really expected.
So you're a busy man, to say the least. All right. So how has
which is good. I think being busy is good. I think everybody enjoys it.
Yeah. All right. So how has your previous experience prepared you for your role with First Tee?
I would say, last year was probably my 31st or 32nd year in the golf business. And the balance of those years were always around not-for-profit. So even on the tournament side of the PGA Tour, every one of those organizations operates as a not-for-profit, similar to the Memorial, which is, right in your hometown. And probably the most significant role, I went to work for Tiger Woods in 1999, heading up his foundation. And, at that time I was employee 5. And when I left 15 years later, we had some 60 employees and we had grown our corpus to 150 million. And Tiger's, vision really of what he wanted to do was similar to the First Tee, use golf as a platform to get kids in and provide enhancements and really, better their lives. So I would say that was probably the most significant role that I had, which is most similar to the role now with the First Tee.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. All right.
And as part of, and just to give you a little kind of added color, we announced a scholarship program, a national scholarship program. Many of our chapters have done scholarship programs similar, and we've had one as well, but we announced more of a what we view as a comprehensive scholarship program this year. We're going to announce our first class of 5, which will hopefully, knock on wood, be attending university this September. And it's similar to the program that we put in place at Tigers Foundation. Kids are paired with a mentor. They get professional development help while they're matriculating, through school, and we help them, obtain internships and ultimately get placement. And when we started Tigers scholarship the day his father passed away in 2006, and when I left there in 2014, we had 100 kids, and I think now there are over 200 kids that have gone through the program.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, so it's pretty exciting. So a lot of, again, these are great ideas that have been around for a while. All we did was try and adopt them and institute them in our program as well.
Ooh, that's awesome. So what are some exciting things that the First Tee is got going around the world here for our future?
Well, I would say, under the current environment, we stand in awe of great programs like yours that provide, outreach to kids and families, during this time. I mean, it's a challenging situation if, in fact, you are, in one place. And there's some pretty significant, viruses in certain areas where people literally aren't leaving. I've talked to Dan Burke, who's the executive director in San Francisco, and Dan told me 3 weeks ago, at least, that he hadn't left his house for at least 2 weeks. And that was an area that was hit hard, and it was hit hard very early. New York, we had one of our coaches that contracted the coronavirus about 3 weeks ago, and knock on wood, he's doing a lot better and back and healthy now, which is very good to hear. So we've tried to provide really just support for the field through, things that you guys are doing, stay connected, certainly with the chapters, and provide what support we can to just give you all effectively what you need in order to continue to maintain connections with, your donors, your board, your staff. You 3 are all in different locations today, I'm assuming, right? Yeah. So we're all practicing, social distancing. So what are these commercials we're watching? We're all alone together now. That's the kind of the current buzz. So I will say that one of our focuses going forward is probably to have a more robust technology platform. You know, I mean, in my opinion, we probably needed more than we have available right now. And this would have been a good opportunity, but, you know, chances are something like this, you know, may happen again. Or what I believe is going to happen, you know, just socially, this isn't something that's going to instantly leave us all here, you know, in another couple weeks or months when we all go back to work. I mean, societal differences that will last for a long time. I think the way people work, you know, going forward is going to be different. I think the fact that Microsoft Teams and Zoom and, you know, some of these great technology platforms exist, that, you know, it won't be so foreign that, you know, people will work from home. You know, the ability to have, you know, video conferencing will be very easy. And I think that the technology that we will be able to provide kids and parents and coaches and people within our network is going to be something that we're going to make a pretty significant investment to. And this just, to me, provides the evidence that it's very, very needed and everybody really wants it. So I think that's going to be something that we're going to make a big push over the next couple of years.
I think you're right. I think going forth, having everything accessible digitally is very important, especially for our chapter. This sounds silly, but it really did happen. I was at getting groceries, and there was a family that had masks on and also a full face snorkel, and a little thing on top of the snorkel too to prevent. I mean, some people are really nervous and scared, and I'm wondering, you know, what they're going to do socially when this is over. Like, will they get back into their normal flow, or will it take a very long time from the trust, the environment, and getting to have their kids out in places in programs like ours? So I think the digital age is something that is definitely worth investing in going into the future.
Yeah, I mean, this is not, I mean, they'll study this, you know, when, and the three of you are all very young, but when your kids are are in school, they're going to be studying this. This is like, you know, something that will not soon be forgotten. I mean, I'm not excited about running off to a concert right now, you know, and being on the floor. I mean, you know, something like that you wouldn't have thought twice about, you know, 6 weeks ago. I mean, so it's interesting, but I do think that this is going to make certainly the digital age, and it fits perfectly with our kids. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, the way they learn from a technology standpoint, it's probably a window of opportunity that we would have been a little further along, but we'll get there.
Okay.
All right, Greg, I have one last question for you, then we'll kick it over to Natalie. Here's a kind of get to know you question. What would you say would be your dream foursome?
You know, it's interesting you say that. So my wife and I have 2 daughters, and it says my internet connection is unstable. So raise your hand if in fact you can't hear me as part of it. So our kids are in their late 20s, and they both live in New York. And after, you know, much negotiation, we convinced them to escape from New York. Was you guys, I don't know if you remember, there was a movie in the 80s. I'm not sure.
I love that movie.
Yeah, so it was Escape from New York. So we kept sending them videos, and you know, and they were managing it. They had been working from home for a long time, and neither one of them were having any problems. But I think they ultimately got to a concern that maybe it was probably a good time for them to get out. So they rented a car and you know, drove the 16 hours in one day and came down here. And that was almost a month ago, which, and we were joking because I never in my wildest imagination thought my kids would ever move in with me again. And just because they both, you know, have jobs and careers and lives, and, you know, they're doing their own thing, you know, and that's just kind of the way it goes, you know. long weekend or something like that might work out. But, beyond that, not necessarily something that we anticipated, but it's been fun. So I would say probably my, dream foursome is, we've had dinner every night together, which has been kind of fun. Again, it creates a few challenges because everybody's got to find an office to work and places, you want to have your own space. And, and then they came in from New York, so we would sequester for 2 weeks, so you literally, all our neighbors are like, there's a big scarlet letter in front of our house because these New Yorkers had come into our development. So I would say it's, my wife and my 2 kids are probably, and they play a little golf. My wife plays, but the girls play a little bit when they, when they come down here.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
All right, Nat, what do you got?
Okay, a couple questions from the audience. First one, what's been the most memorable moment you've had as the first tee president?
I get that question asked, and I wouldn't say there was any one. I mean, there's a handful of just things that I've observed from attending, events around the country. Like I was in Atlanta last fall, and I met, 2 twins that had gone through their program, the Cornelius sisters. And they were both, going to getting a scholarship, through the chapter, and very intelligent young ladies. I think one's going to Harvard and the other one was going to Princeton, both studying some kind of engineering that I wasn't 100% sure exactly how to pronounce. So myomolecular, I don't know, some kind of crazy thing like this. But they were both just, very grounded, and I thought that was, really unique, kind of getting to know them. And then, I was at the John Deere Classic, and I met 3 scholarship winners that the John Deere organization really had selected. And, each of the young ladies were, separate and distinct. And you've got some that play golf competitively and have gone on and, play in college, and that's important to them. And then you have others that really are mostly interested in the connections that they get and what they learn from the program. And I would say lastly, I've met a handful of alumni just over the years. I was at Boise for the Joe Louis Barrow life skills program that goes on there, and they did it at Boise State. And I was there for a couple of days. And there were 190, some version of that. I think 17 and 18-year-olds or 16 and 17-year-olds. These were like juniors and seniors. And then we had 10 alumni that were the chaperones. And, instantly, the operations person that I am, having run tournaments for 30 years, I'm like, okay, you got to keep these kids busy. You got to keep them busy at night, because you're going to put these kids together. You're going to have troubles, blah, blah, blah. And I met these kids, and I was instantly like, wow, I guess these kids probably aren't going to really, be much trouble because they're just not that way. They're kind of, enjoying the time together and, and having fun, and they were very responsible. So I immediately shifted to the alumni because most of these kids are all in college now. And, we brought them in. I was like, okay, now I'm worried about, the alumni because they knew the drill. That was not their first rodeo, so they were like, okay, the kids are fine. Let's go out, So anyhow, it was, but it's really, I think, meeting the parents and the kids and the people associated with the program because it's, it is national. We have 5 international chapters in Mexico, Korea, and Mexico, South Korea, Japan, and then we just opened last year. Morocco, which I've been down there twice, and amazing experience there about what they really tried to do down there, and then we opened Australia in December. So there's a lot of real support for the program on a national basis, and I think that's why I feel comfortable that we'll come through this, pandemic, when things calm down and, markets stabilize and, people aren't necessarily as worried about, what's going to happen tomorrow, I think that, we'll come through it and hopefully we'll all be stronger.
Absolutely. All right. I'll do probably one more, Corey, you think?
One more is fine. Yeah, one more's perfect.
Okay. All right. Greg, I'll give you the option. Question 1 or question 2? And I'll pick one of those.
Always question 2.
Question 2. Okay. Who currently on the PGA Tour represents the character traits that the First Tee program focuses on?
Wow.
That's a really good question.
Interesting.
That's a very on-the-spot question. Ooh,
it is.
I mean, look, I would say there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Very much so. I would say that the majority of them certainly do. I mean, it's a pretty unique sport where, you call penalties on yourself and the integrity of the game. I mean, I would say that, that carries forward also on the Champions Tour. I was president out there for 4 years, and I spent a lot of time with, the Jay Haas's and Jeff Slumans and guys that have played competitively for 40 and 50 years, that these guys competed at a high level. So, their integrity is really beyond reproach. But when you start looking at, quality people on the PGA Tour, like, Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, I mean, there's countless numbers of them that, Rory McIlroy, I mean, Brooke Koepka, I mean, the list kind of goes on and on and on. And most of them are all extremely philanthropic as far as giving back and doing things for their community. And look, I'd like to think that, Tiger kind of, set that model and created that situation for those guys to where they recognized the importance of it and decided to, pay it forward. But I would answer your question. There's not one, there's, countless numbers.
Yeah, that's a great answer.
That question, I should note, came from Kim Nuxhall, who I apologize if I'm mispronouncing it. She also said, Kim and Bonnie of the Joe Nuxhall Foundation are proud of the work that you are doing. Keep it up.
So Kim Nuxhall just is a friend of mine who I've known since I was maybe 6 years old.
Oh, wow.
And I grew up, and Kim was a mentor to me. His father was a player for the Cincinnati Reds. He holds the record as the youngest player to ever enter a major league game at age 15. And then he went on to be an announcer. I can't believe none of you guys are Reds fans. I know you guys are all Indians fans being in Columbus. That was my one thing I didn't like about going to Ohio State. Everybody's an Indians fan there. But Kim's dad was an announcer for the Reds. And I think, he passed away some years ago, but he was probably with the Reds organization for almost 60 years as a player and an announcer as well. So they were neighbors. I grew up down the street from them, and we played a lot of sports and did a lot of things. And Kim has carried his dad's tradition on of Joe Nuxhall Foundation in Fairfield, Ohio, which is about 2 hours south of you guys.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
I'm glad you mentioned tour players giving back. So I have a couple questions for you, some very, very easy questions. The reason why I said that is because we had Bo Hogue on last Tuesday, and Bo did a phenomenal thing by donating a lot of the hats that he gets at tournaments, the new hats to our chapter to give away to kids, and amongst gloves and everything else. He's a great guy, great talking to him. But more importantly, he's a hometown guy. He's an Ohio State alumni. There we go. So I have a couple of Ohio State questions for you. So the first one is, I know college, when you're in college, there's a lot of burn and midnight oil. So I want your take on the best midnight snack for OSU. Like what was your go-to snack for OSU?
Yeah, I have to tell you that I saw that question, and so I was never like a midnight snack guy. I mean, I could tell you that my greatest memories of Ohio State is that from one end of campus to the other, when I was there were 40 bars, 40 bars. And, you know, the goal was to do the pub crawl from one end to the other. And I remember that. And I remember that at the Southburg, I think it was the Southburg, you could get a pitcher of Busch Light for 70 cents. So it was always the goal to get there by then. But I don't, nothing was like memorable. I mean, you got to keep in mind that, you know, in those days, you know, I mean, Ohio State we had 60,000 kids, you know, before the three of you were even born. I mean, 60,000 students that were attending that school. It was the largest single campus, you know, a million years ago.
Yeah.
And, you know, so you know, I mean, it was a great experience. And you know, the good news is my degree has gotten better every year since I've been out of there because the academics have continued to excel there. So, yeah, but anyhow, just, you know, so a lot of great things there, but not any one thing, Corey, that jumped out at me.
That's cool. That's fine. When I was in the military and I did college for a little bit, I used to love ramen noodles. I don't know why, I just did. That was my thing. That was my jam.
Now, did you have that when you were, I mean, in the military on the road, or what?
Hey,
what
I'm gonna
was
tell you what's
that,
funny.
how'd that come?
There were so I saw some of those interesting things when it came to that. I used to have a cup of noodles. I know you know what I'm talking about. Like, you peel the cup back and you put the hot water in and it makes the noodles.
Of course.
But a cup of noodles, but also to go deeper and more disturbing, what we did in the field is that we would take coffee grounds and put them in our mouth and chase it with cold water to get our coffee fix. So the things you do, you know, the things you do.
We appreciate your service, because I'm sure that you did not have a lot of the courtesies that some of us all had growing up. So thank you for your service.
Greg, you haven't lived until you chase coffee with cold water. You haven't lived. So one last question for me, man, and I go back to my dad introducing me to Muhammad, not introducing me to him, but showing me tapes of Muhammad Ali and who he was. But is there any sports role models that you had, someone you looked up to, or even pulled you into the game?
You know, I don't have any like sports role models that I mean, I admire what they've done, and, you know, people like Tiger and Jack Nicklaus and, you know, Arnold Palmer, and, you know, and those other PGA Tour players I met, you know, and if you look around sport, you know, Michael Jordan and, you know, great baseball players, you know, Derek Jeter and, you know, Shaq and Kobe and, you know, people like that. I mean, I just have admired who they are and really what they've done, both, you know, on and off the golf course and court and field. I mean, you got Tom Brady at, you know, 43, you know, still trying to play and still wants to compete, and Peyton. And I think that these guys are all great. I mean, I was never like, you know, someone that, you know, played at any kind of a high level. So I never really had that, you know, I mean, I respect who they are, and enjoy, you know, them as part of it. And there's others that, you know, I mean, I would have loved to have met Muhammad Ali, you know, I mean, I never had an opportunity, you know, to do that, you know, at all. But, you know, people like that really, that, I mean, because if you think about athletes that changed the sport, I mean, I mean, Bird and Magic, you know, kind of changed the NBA. I believe that, you know, Tiger, you know, changed, you know, golf. You know, they claim that that there were three figures really that, you know, had a significant impact in the game, and it was Hogan, and it was Arnold Palmer, and it was Tiger, just in those eras of how they, you know, shifted, you know, what the game of golf was and what they did. And it's pretty admiring when you start looking at the impact that those guys have had in really changing the game. And I believe that, you know, we lived in the greatest time, you know, with Tiger, and being able to see how he brought fitness in, and he made golf cool, and he made it fun for young people to want to play. It was an old white guy sport, you know, for many, many, many years. And then, you know, he brought in, you know, mixed ethnicity and tried to make the game fun. And he got rid of the guys, you know, eating a cheeseburger and drinking beer afterwards, and now they go to the gym,
Yeah.
before they play and after they play. And it's all because of him. And we have a great opportunity to watch it. And that's the impact that he's had. So again, admire many, many of them and what they've done really for our enjoyment. And it's so evident is how people miss sports today.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Greg, we know you're short on time, and we appreciate you being here. But we have one last thing we want just your take on. We have a Live the Nine story time to where we talk about the core value and also the healthy habit for the day. And you can lead us off because we know you're short on time. Ethan and Natalie has integrity. You and I have vision. So whenever you're ready, go ahead and start off. Well, kick us off with that.
Well, I would answer that question, I guess, when you start looking at, at a vision, the unique thing for us, and I mentioned it a little bit earlier, is the technology piece. And really, to me, I would love for us to be in a situation where we're able to reach really countless number of kids by having a pretty robust technology platform. Because we're in all 50 states, but we're not in every city, and we're certainly not able to reach the number of kids, that we are. I was driving down the street probably about 2 months ago, and I was pretty shocked because I looked out the window and I saw a person that that looked like they were homeless, and they were talking on a cell phone. And I just thought to myself, I was like, everybody has technology today.
Yeah.
So, we need to make sure that we're providing technology platforms across our entire network, because I think if we did that, we'll have a greater connection with parents, with kids, and certainly with the coaches and staff and even our board. And I think my vision is within 2 or 3 years to have a very robust technology platform.
Well, Greg, thank you so very much, man. It has been an honor for you being on our show. We know you're a very busy man. Carving out the 30-35 minutes you have for us, it means a lot to us and also the people listening.
Well, it's my pleasure. No, thank you guys. I think what you guys are doing every day is awesome. So I'm grateful to have colleagues and partners like you to work with every day. So I'd love to do the show again. And Corey, you're a great MC. Ethan, I think you guys have maybe an opportunity to take this thing on the road. So, and Natalie, thank you for kind of keeping these guys organized.
Yeah,
keep us
my
safe.
job.
All right, you take care.
All right, be well, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Take care. Yep. See you later.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, now, so we're going to have you go back to Live the Nine story time. You will hop on and talk about integrity. But again, for the people at home, that was Greg McLaughlin. He is the president of the First Tee of Central Ohio, amongst other things. And it was an honor to have him here. So that's big for us.
Yep.
Big ball.
If you're tuning in now, if you tuned in late, missed anything, we will have this posted on our YouTube page. It'll be linked to our website, maybe on Facebook too, so you can always go back and watch the beginning. But yeah, so I have integrity. Had to think about a couple different things different ways I could go with this story, but I wanted to get it back to the sports world. I grew up playing volleyball for most of my life, and I was on some travel teams, and there was plenty of times when it's a huge tournament. There might be a couple hundred teams and 50 some games playing all at once. Like I know we played at the convention center in Columbus. So there's a lot of times that you had to depend on your team to have integrity and be truthful in what the ball does. So if the ball was close to the line, was it in, was it out, was it on the line? What was the call? You could have lied. You very well could have did something to go in your team's favor, but it was huge to have that integrity to be truthful and to call it as it is and know that the game's going to play on whether you lie or you're truthful about it. But sometimes people are watching, sometimes they're not. Having integrity means trying to be the bigger person and doing right, whether someone's watching you or not, and stay truthful. It kind of goes hand in hand with honesty a little bit. And that's probably the best example I could give.
Great. That's great.
That's awesome. I had a little story. It actually happened just a few months ago. I get my mom carry out from a restaurant called MCL Cafeteria. And I was sitting in the carry out section waiting for my turn. And on the bench next to me, there was an envelope. And inside the envelope looked like a grocery list. And there's some cash in there. And I very easily could have said, oh, finders keepers, you know, put the envelope in my pocket and keep it moving. And nobody would have known the wiser. But instead I thought about it. I'm like, well, someone's probably going to definitely miss this here and will probably come back looking for it. And the thing about integrity is just put yourself in other people's shoes, you know, and how they would feel during that situation. So I actually turned the envelope into the cashier and said, hey, I found this on the bench here. I'm sure someone will be looking for it, and went about my day. And I go in there frequently. So I came back in and it was the same person helping me out. And she was like, hey, somebody came in for that envelope and they wanted me to tell you, thank you so much for turning it in. And it's one where just being known as an honest person and them seeing that, you know, because I go in wearing First Tee stuff all the time. So it's one where you got to practice what you preach. So having them know that, okay, this guy's an honest person or he has integrity is far more important than the few dollars that I could have gained by just putting that envelope in my pocket for the day, you know?
That's awesome, man. That's big of you, man. That's really cool. So I have vision. So my idea of vision. So when I was about to graduate from high school, not people know this, man. When I was about to graduate from high school, my teacher, a teacher of mine said that, Corey, you are a good kid, but you probably won't amount to much. And when my dad and I decided to go to the military, my friends said that I probably wouldn't make it because I was like them. So then when I went in the military, I did my 4 years, went to Iraq and got back. I told them I was getting out and I wanted to look into the idea of boxing in the future. They said, Tucker, boxing? The military is a stable job. It's good. It's hard out there in the civilian world. It'd be hard to make it. So I got out and I boxed. Actually, I boxed in Columbus at La Pearl for a little bit underneath Buster Douglas and them. And I told them I wanted to stop because I wanted to get back into golf and amongst other things. They said I was crazy because I was good at boxing. My wife, the woman who owns my heart, told me one time that, Corey, golf is not a viable future. It's not realistic to make a living in a world that you're not familiar with. I stand in front of you now, the program director of the First Year Central Ohio. I tell you that story to tell you this, that when it comes to your vision, you have to have tunnel vision. There's people that's put in your life strategically to test your goals, to test your dream and how dedicated you are to it. If I would have listened to anybody along my journey, I could have been anything, anywhere, and nowhere near in a good position that I am now. No one knew my dream like I did. No one saw my vision like I did, and no one will understand your vision like you will. You have to be willing to stand for something like your vision, even if you must stand alone. All right? Dedication is what it takes. So the vision, know what you want and go get it. Don't let nothing deter you from it, because honestly, it sounds silly, but it's the truth. You can do and be anything you want to do as long as your vision, you stick to your vision.
That's real talk, man.
All good? Yeah. All right. So we had a couple things lined up, but we're running a little short on time. But there's one thing that I wanted to do, and I wanted us to try it out. And it's called First Tee Court. First Tee Court. So what's going to happen is this. Natalie has a question for Ethan and I, a this or that type thing. And we have to argue our opinions on it. And then you guys will decide, or either go with either Ethan or myself to see if we swayed you in our decision. So Natalie, whenever you're ready.
If you guys have the same answer, I'm just going to ask a new question.
Oh, sounds good. Sounds good.
All right. Favorite fast food restaurant? Ooh. I'm keeping it vague. You're not going specifically for a burger or a taco or chicken sandwich. Fast food restaurant. Go.
Favorite period.
Yep.
You go first, E. What do you got?
I'm going to kick it off with Wendy's, man. I think Wendy's got the best deals going, whether it's the $5 biggie bag or your 4 for $4 with your endless options. We might want to get a Wendy's sponsor after they hear this, by the way. I'm I think Wendy's hands down has the best quality and your best bang for buck, without a doubt. It's not even close.
So I would agree with Wendy's, but I want to shed some light. Hopefully, I can get something from them because I'm trying to help them out a little bit. But when it comes to fast food, you're right. Wendy's, I think, has it, but there's a fast food restaurant that I don't think is getting as much love as it should, and I'm gonna explain to you why. It is Burger King, right? So, Burger King not only has a better breakfast than McDonald's, their burgers are flame broiled, right? They're not on a flat top being flipped over. They're actually going through a flame conveyor belt, and you can actually tell in the taste. Now, the quality of the chicken sandwich, I can't agree with them with. They are pretty much trash. But as far as their burgers go, breakfast, they're absolutely wonderful, you know? And who could argue Cinnamonies? If you never had a Cinnamon from Burger King, you are missing out on life. There is a huge, huge advantage to Burger King breakfast than the McDonald's and even to Wendy's, which is now starting to break into breakfast. So I'm gonna go with Burger King. What do we have?
Right now, Ethan's in the lead. Wendy's is taking the lead right now. We'll see. Give it a second. We'll see if Facebook, because Facebook has an 8-second delay. Mm-hmm. So we'll see if anybody.
We'll announce winners later because there better be some people with team. And not to mention,
get your butt kicked.
Not to mention, Burger King has chocolate milkshake and onion rings, man. Like, that's what?
I can't get my opinion. I'm not going to say anything. Okay. You ready for another one?
Ready for another
one. Oh, crap. I just lost it. What did I say? Oh. Favorite sport to watch?
Ooh, that's a play, but to watch.
You want to kick this off, Corey? I'm ready. I'm ready.
You go first.
I stay ready with this question. For me, it's college football, hands down. More specifically, the Ohio State University college football. I look forward to every Saturday. I plan my week around the game times on Saturday. I'm a college football junkie from morning waking up, watching the game day shows or the start-off shows to watching the West Coast teams on at 11, 12 at night. I can sit and watch some college football all day. It's exciting. And the fact that just the amount that's on each game where today's games, if you lose one game, odds are your season is over. Where NFL, you could use a game or two. Baseball, God knows how many games you could lose and still have a chance. And same with a lot of other sports, but just the pressure on those kids or young athletes, and they're doing it for free, quote unquote. I think they should be getting paid. We'll leave that argument for another day.
We'll leave that for a different point.
That's my hot take for that, but I say college football all day, every day.
See, right. And mine's football as well, but I'm gonna go professional football, and here's my argument for that. So when it comes to football, college and professional wise, college to me is where you have the highlight reels that are just ridiculous. First of all, see nobody scores 70-something, 60-something, 80-something points in a professional game. You don't see that. I go back to tell people about Reggie Bush, right? I watched Reggie Bush in college for USC run to one side of the field, back to the other side of the field, then back to the other side of the field and get a touchdown. Now, that same Reggie Bush, his very first year with the Saints, tried to do that in NFL, got clocked. He got hit off bat. Like, it doesn't happen. I think the competition level is so much higher in the NFL. It's like you're a college, a league full of college all-stars, right? So the score won't get overblown. It's a lot slower of a game, and I like that. I like the competitiveness of it compared to one team getting blown out. You have Ohio State playing freaking Appalachian State to where they're blowing it back out. You know what I mean? That's silly to watch. That's silly to watch to me. Hey, I see some up here, some votes for Burger King though. Y'all see that, right?
There's a few, but overall total, Wendy's is taking the championship here.
Come on, people.
Sorry. And as for football, man, it's pretty split right now.
I think it is.
We got one college, 2 college, 1 pro, 2 pro, I think. Yeah, it's split pretty even. Oh, someone just said the XFL. Well,
hey, after that should be filed for bankruptcy. So there we go. Well, people, it's time. That is our show. Natalie, you're going to send us out to let us know again what we got going on with
remember our free programming. We are wrapping up the first week. If you couldn't join us, do not stress. All videos are recorded and posted to our website, and you can still join us next week. If you are unsure what level you or your child is in, I don't know if the kids are listening. I don't know if parents are listening. If you're unsure about level, all the descriptions are on the website under the TFTCO at Home tab. If you have any questions, my email's on there. Corey's email might be on there. Send us an email. We will direct you to what you need. If you need equipment, shoot us an email as well. We will do what we can to get you set up and get you prepared for the spring classes.
Thank you very much for that, Natalie. Everybody, this is Living the Nine. I'm Corey. That's Natalie. It's Ethan. Take care.
Have a great week, everybody.